Everybody out there, regardless if you're aware of it or not, or if you choose to believe it or not, wants to be better. We all want to be better. And a lot of people are content with who they are as individuals, and that's okay. But for the vast majority of us, we want to become the best version of ourselves. But that's the question, right? What is the best version of you? Well, let's go ahead and conduct a thought experiment. Close your eyes. Now imagine you get to sit down and you're sitting face to face with the second version of yourself, the 2.0, I call it. Ask yourself a couple of questions and just ruminate on this for a little bit. What do they do? What's their job? Are they an influencer? Do they do things online? Do they have their own business? How do they make their money? Where do they live? Do they live in a nice house? Do they have a condo? Do they have a car? Do they have a family? Do they have pets? Ask yourself all of these things and then realize you don't have any of those things because you're not willing to work for them. A lot of us want a lot of these things that we see from other people or just intrinsically, like we have our intrinsic desires, but we're not exactly sure how to go about becoming the person necessary in order to obtain those things. Because the reality of it is, in order for you to become that person who's living the life of your dreams, you have to change as an individual. So then the question becomes, where do we start with this? Well, let's start with the vision. And the vision here is, who do you want to become? What are some qualities within you right now that you appreciate, that you know you can cultivate and make better? And what are some habits that are holding you back and some things that you have to give up in order to become that person? You know, I have a client that I talk to every week, and whenever we do our calls, we always kind of harken back to the same objective, right? Becoming the 2.0 version of ourselves. And we always break this down the same way we're doing in the video, talking about the vision, the things that are holding you back, and some of the parameters and things you'd have to set up within your life in order to be accountable. So without going too far into the weeds, the second thing I'd want to bring up after you've covered the vision, the next thing we got to cover is, what are the habits necessary in order to become that person? And just like I mentioned earlier, you got to do some self-reflecting and be honest with yourself. Really think about the things that you're doing right and the things that you're doing wrong, and ultimately the things that are holding you back from truly becoming that best version of yourself. For example, if your back is big, if you're overweight, then you're probably eating a lot of junk food. You're probably not getting a lot of exercise. You're probably not doing the things or just doing the healthy things that will cultivate that healthy activity or like that healthiness within you, right? The same thing goes for money. Like, you probably want a lot of money, but you're not willing to put in the work or work overtime at your job if you have to because you're lazy. So think about it. What are some things that you're doing that's holding you back? So we've got the vision, we've got the habits, but ultimately we need that third thing. That third catalyst, that thing that's going to help you get to where you want to be. We need a plan. Hope is not a strategy, gentlemen. I don't care what you say. If you think you can just come in, haphazardly work out, just do some BS routines here and there in the gym, or just half-ass your work and do some BS cold calling if you're in sales, you do some BS at your job, just letting the time go by, thinking that's going to get you further, dog, you're wasting your own time. In fact, a lot of the times when we see people that just kind of handle things half-assed, what does their life look like? Everything looks like a watered down version of what it should be. And you don't want to be that. Do you really want to be the guy who's probably in your late 20s, early 30s, who just can't get it together? You're just like right here when you really should be up here, when you really should be doing the thing, you decide to be lackadaisical about it. You don't need to be that guy. There's tons of men out there that choose to be losers every day, and you don't have to be one. But in order to not be a loser, you have to do the work necessary in order to become the best version of yourself. So when we talk about planning, we break this down into multiple steps, starting with the largest part of the vision and then reverse engineering it from that point on. For example, for me, when I wanted 9,000 subs, in fact, if you are not subbed to the channel, do me a favor and go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. But when I wanted 9,000 subs, I wrote 9K subs. And then from there, I reverse engineered it. What were some of the objectives and some of the tasks that I had to do in order to get there? Well, I have to post, I gotta be around, I gotta make videos, I gotta make shit people wanna watch, because if you don't wanna watch the shit, you're not gonna grow. So consider those things, not necessarily for YouTube, but for your own goals. What do you want at the end of it? For you, it could be a better body. Reverse engineer that motherfucker. What do you have to do in order to get that better body? Well, you're gonna have to eat right. You're gonna have to go to sleep. You're gonna have to stop drinking, stop smoking, stop staying up, jerking off. Go to bed at a good time, wake up early, be disciplined, be consistent. And I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Serge, this is just too much work. I just want to be happy. I just want to enjoy my life. Can you really be happy not being the best version of yourself? Like, How happy can you be knowing you're not at your full potential? Tell me. I want to know, because when I was at my worst and I didn't give a fuck about my physique, I didn't give a fuck about my money, I didn't give a fuck about my appearance, when I didn't care about those things, I was not living the life that I'm living now. I have a great life and I enjoy every single minute of it, but I know within myself I can get more out of it. So even with myself, I have to do some self-reflection. I have to think, well, damn, I made it this far doing X, Y, and Z, but if I want to go further, there are going to be some things that I'm going to have to give up in order to get there. And the same goes for you. You got to think about your life in phases and stages. And more importantly, you got to think of your life in a overall vision. Don't just take life as it comes. You know what I mean? Pause. Nah, for real, pause. Don't just take life for what it's giving you. You should stare at that motherfucker in the face and say, you know, I want X, Y, and Z. Be clear about what you want. Write it down. Be as descriptive as possible when it comes to your goals. Because unless you're descriptive and you know exactly what you want, life is just going to give you whatever it is. And then you have no choice but to take it. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can design your life. You can be the second version of yourself. You can be the best version of you. But if you're not going to take the time to do reflection, take the time to write out some of the goals that you want, and then sit there and come up with a plan in order to get that done, you'll never get there. Instead, you'll end up being in your mid 40s, early 50s, mid 50s, even fucking late 60s, wondering where all the time went, because now you're driving a car you don't want to drive, living somewhere you don't want to live, with someone you don't want to be with, working a job you don't want to work, simply because you never took the time to decide where you want to go. Plan your life, gentlemen. Plan your life accordingly. Be willing to make the sacrifices necessary. Here's one little tip that my brother always told me regarding fitness. And, you know, he told me, because I used to be overweight. I used to be about 260 pounds. And when I was younger, I would always complain about having to put the work in. And my brother looked at me dead in the face one day and he said, whether you're ready or not, summer's going to be here. It's totally up to you. So whether you're ready or not, or whether you're putting in the work or not, at some point, life is going to catch up to you. And when that comes knocking, you're going to have to answer in some regard. And you don't want to be the guy who's in his mid 40s, late 50s, 60s, whatever the case may be, who's got nothing to show for all that time he's been on Earth. Can you imagine being nearly 60 something years old and you have nothing to show for the life that you've lived? You've been on this earth for 60 years and you've got nothing? Nothing? Not even like material possessions? Listen, I'm a firm believer of thinking that having material possessions and wanting to make money is okay. If you ask me, the only time people ever say money doesn't bring happiness or money doesn't change anything are the people who don't have it. Because I don't know about you, but I know for myself, whenever I have more money, I'm happy. Whenever I'm able to spend disposable income because my bills have been taken care of and everything's taken care of and I get to go out and have brunch with my girl, whatever the case may be, and I could spend it no problem, I'm happy. When I can go to sleep and not worry about bills or worry about owing the IRS or whatever the case may be because everything's taken care of, I'm happy. Don't you want to be happy? Listen, it doesn't have to be about money, it doesn't have to be about material things, but to some degree, part of you should want to be at the very top of your game, whatever that looks like. For me, those are just the parameters. For you, it could be something completely different, and that's okay. But you want to be at the top of your game. So be willing to put in the work and be willing to investigate the things that really make you tick, the things that make you want to get up and go and really work for those things. And more importantly, really be willing to plan out the rest of your life. Because again, if you choose not to, if you choose to be one of these NPCs that are just okay with whatever happens to them in life and they're just like, oh, I want to be happy. If you are one of those, I'm telling you, happiness is the last thing you will get in this world. Appreciate the work, appreciate the efforts, appreciate the things that you have to do in order to get there. And I'm telling you, the happiness is just going to be a byproduct. But put in the work to be the best version of yourself. Just want to keep this one short and sweet. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? Is your life going the way that you want it? Is it going by design? Is there anything you'd change? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. We've got a self-improvement course coming out soon, along with consultations that will be available in the summertime. I'll let you guys know when that's going to be dropping. But in the meantime, keep watching these videos. Keep you know, being a part of the community. Let's all grow together and become the best version of ourselves. Check out another one of these videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.